When most of us think of silver these days, we think of it in terms of its price per ounce. There's a lot of value in some silver products, but like what you see here, the form of bars, well, yeah, that's on the market for a certain price, and you have them in your stack, and you certainly think about the price a lot. But we also think about the weight of the silver. We think about its value in terms of ounces versus how it's priced in the market, which many of us feel the market is corrupted in many different ways. So we kind of make that difference. Many people will say, well, because of that, silver really is priceless because we see the value in it. But in the end, what is a priceless silver product? Well, here we go. Here is a 1794 dollar. And that is probably would be considered out of the reach of most of us, especially in this condition. But what is it about a priceless silver coin like this? It's a type of piece that if you were to buy it, you'd probably have a hard time selling it in normal markets. You'd have to go through an auction house or whatever in order to liquidate it. And after paying auction fees and the like, well, you may not get what you hoped for it. Nonetheless, it's kind of hard to put a price on something so rare to some extent, and especially in such great condition. There's other pieces that are even far more valuable than this. You can't put a price on some of that stuff. And nonetheless, there's other things that you only find in museums. And I'm going to be talking about that now in this video. Finally, we're going to get to it, and we are going to explore. And it's the floor. The floor that for the price of silver, you know what I mean? We heard that term in technology. What about this kind of floor here that's literally was cut? You cut a hole and you will find out really quickly how priceless some silver items are. I'll explain. And this story was shared with me by several members of the community. Yeah, we finally got there because there's more of a lesson about this precious metal crime than I can talk about in this video. But first, let's talk about the story here from the Independent. Thieves cut hole through museum floor and steal priceless silver antiques. What does it mean by priceless? We'll get into that momentarily. Nottinghamshire police described the burglary as audacious and planned. Yeah, you think? Look at that. Pretty amazing. Thieves cut a hole in the floor of a museum in an audacious heist to steal a haul of priceless military silver antiques. Staff at the Royal Lancers in Nottinghamshire Yeomanry Museum noticed a number of historic items had been stolen when they came into work last Sunday and phoned the police. During a search which involved cabinets being moved, it was noticed that thieves had drilled a hole upwards through the ceiling to get access to a cabinet containing the antiques. Items stolen including a distinctive porcelain and gilt rosewater dish that is understood to be the sister piece to the Wimbledon's women's singles trophy. We'll look at these pieces here in a moment. Other items include Hurlingham Grand Military Polo Trophy, statuettes of mounted soldiers, and a cavalry trumpet. Here you can see a small. We'll look at bigger photos of these here in a moment. Steve Cox, curator for the Royal Lancers of Nottinghamshire's Yeomanry Museum, said, "It's disgusting that they have taken history from the people who have served and fought for this country." And I do agree with it. I think any thievery, is abhorrent. And, it's a shame that it happens, for sure. But nonetheless, this is one of many stories in a playlist that I have on my channel called Precious Metal Crimes. I'm the only channel that's been consistently reporting on precious metal crimes for over 10 years. I hope you will check out some of those other videos. And by the way, if you enjoyed this video, I hope you will consider subscribing to the channel and pressing that thumbs up button. It all helps. The items that they have taken are priceless to the museum. How do you put a value on history? That really is true. Priceless. And I'm going to talk about that and bring that home to us with some of the silver products that we have. There is a lesson here. It's coming later in the video. We're upset about it, but we're fighting back and we're going to rebuild from what's gone. Nottinghamshire police believe the theft took place in the early hours of Sunday morning between 2:40 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. Detective Inspector Luke Todd of Nottinghamshire Police said this was an audacious, planned, and targeted attack on what is a wonderful historic building and was clearly well organized. Yes, indeed, it sure was. In fact, let's take a look at these pieces and see what we've got there. There's a closer look at the floor, and you can see exactly how it was cut, and the holes were drilled in first, and then the jigsaw, I guess we could go in and then just saw all the way around it. Here's a closer look at some of the pieces that you can see there, made of sterling silver, I assume. And beautiful pieces indeed. You know, the value of the silver alone, probably depending on the weight of these, will be somewhat notable, but not but negligible compared to the overall value of these things. Really tough to put a price on some of these types of pieces, for sure. Here's more pieces that you see here that have been shown in this museum. Quite amazing indeed. It'd be cool to see these products, but nonetheless, it's something that likely we're not going to see now. The items that were stolen are not only high in monetary value, but also high in sentimental value, not only to the military, but also to the wider community in the area. Sentimentality is a very important thing, for sure. These items are worth so much more to the museum than they are melted down in the silver form. That's right. So I really want to ask anyone who may has any information, may have seen anything suspicious, or has heard about someone trying to sell items like this, to get in touch with us. You may think the information you have is irrelevant, but could be exactly what we need to find those responsible. These criminals may think they've gotten away with a lot of silver in this moment in time, but they definitely haven't gotten away with this crime. And the thing is understanding how unique these pieces are and the value compared to the melt price, as it were, for the products for these things. I think that gives you an idea of either how well thought out these criminals are, or maybe not so much in terms of how they're going to liquidate these things, because that is going to be the real difficult move, is to how to liquidate them, to find a buyer who would not just report the crime. That is something that is intriguing. But the thing is things like these high value things, we can relate to our own circumstances when we buy certain silver products. Folks, I've even shown on my channel some higher premium coins and the like. They have mintages in the hundreds or even thousands, but low enough mintage that they become, rare. For all intents and purposes, rare. But rarity does not mean that it's going to be worth much to a certain individual or a local coin shop if you go to sell them. That's why priceless is really a proper term for these things. Can you really put a price on something like this? I'll give you an example. I bought, back in 2014, starting in 2014, the Gods of Olympus high relief 2-ounce antiqued silver coins from the Perth Mint. They were all the rage back then. I thought for sure I was going to have myself a numismatic winner with these things. And it was one of those things where I was just going to try to wait it out for the right time to sell. And they did. They skyrocketed in value. Their price jumped up. I think they were like $180 or something to that effect when I bought them. And they had gone up to, I think the highest price was about $400. I thought, well, that's pretty good. I can take and sell these things if I really wanted to, but I'm going to hold on to them a little bit longer. Well, it didn't take long for the price to plummet on those, and their mintage was pretty low. I think the mintage was like $1,500 a pop or something. And then but I ended up selling all three of them at a loss from what my original purchase price was, after even silver had went up. So it's hard to put a price on these things, and depending on what the market is, you got to find a market that people, look and desire for such things, like silver statues and the like. Who's going to even know what some of these things are? A targeted, crime here, and I would think that they may not have thought through on how they're going to liquidate these things, and if they do liquidate them through melting them. And that is all the more tragic because they've destroyed history and don't have much to say for it other than a couple ounces of silver being sold on the market. if they were gold, it'd be certainly a different matter. So it is interesting indeed. But stories like this are kind of tragic to see. Crimes occurred with some of these folks, and it'd be amazing of what they think through, the amount of arduous planning that goes into some of these things, but they don't think through to the end and how to liquidate. We've seen that multiple times before on stories like this in my playlist called Precious Metal Crimes. So I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational, and heartbreaking. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch this video, and to encourage you to, yes, please rate. That means press that thumbs up button down below, share this video, and subscribe.